Now we are being joined by the Chief Executive Officer of XM Australia, Mr. Peter McGuire. Hi, Peter. Thank you for tuning into ET Now and joining with us live. What do you think are the factors that are fueling the rally for the oil, and what price do you see for the oil going forward? You expect that from these levels there could be a rebound on the lower side, or the factors are so strong that it could sustain its rally?
Well, I tell you what, that's quite an introduction. And when you think about what we experienced last week, we got to 123 and then it just fell away very, very violently all the way to 113. And now it's back up at those 123 levels. So the market is bullish. That's the first part. The uncertainty, we've got inflation out of control, and you're trying to rein it in with rate hikes across the world. The second point is we've got many economies are back to very, very strong demand picture. China coming back into the market as far as from its lockdowns and what they did with a zero COVID policy. So there's a sense of more demand coming from China, and of course summer driving season in the US and Northern Hemisphere. So all of those factors in are pushing crude higher, and maybe a 125 is where we're headed.
Right. Peter, when we look at crude and some of the other commodity, crude is the only commodity that's really not cooling off and others are. You think it can move in that direction?
Well, I'm not sure how much further it can go to the upside, but I will say that maybe 125, there will be a demand destruction point. We've got natural gas at very strong numbers. So maybe 125 is it, but I'm not going to be surprised if it took a 130. I mean, in intraday trade, going back a couple of months ago, I think it was, 130, 135. So, it's got the potential there to ratchet up from here. We've just got to wait and see how much more momentum there is. But traders are all over it, and they're very bullish. So expect, I think, dynamic moves and much whipsawing.
When we just talk about the commodity market, for nearly 2 years now, you've not seen any major moves on the upside. In fact, most of the commodities have corrected except crude or maybe 1-2 here and there. But they are way above the pre-pandemic level. What is the sense that you get? You think that the correction is done, or some of the commodities will go back to pre-pandemic level? Because whenever production comes back, it also comes back in a way that the supply gets quite high in a very low time.
These are unusual times. We've got a very, very strong US dollar. We've come out of a COVID environment or pandemic global and the impact associated with demand. We've got a war with Ukraine and the Russia situation there as far as supply. We've got OPEC Plus increasing production only in the last week. So there's a lot of ingredients that go into making this magnificent cake called crude oil and crude oil price. And where we sit at the moment, I think is, maybe a higher price from here. I don't know how much higher, but I think that volatility will certainly remain across the crude sector, the price.